All right, let's call the meeting to order, please. Note that Mark Gurman is excused absence. First item on the agenda, consideration of the meeting minutes from February 8th, 2023. Does anyone have any changes to the minutes?
What are you looking for?
The minutes for February 8th, 2023.
I'm just reading them.
Well,
I didn't get any of this. I didn't get anything sent to me. I didn't pick it up.
I mean, if,
Didn't know it was available.
so I guess,
Didn't know we were having a meeting until I
okay,
looked online, so.
then we can table the minutes. If anyone else feels that way.
So did nobody get the emails? Because I sent.
I got none.
emails, I have a Dropbox, everything set up.
No,
Sent
I got-
3 emails, one first time,
The only thing
second one, second time, after them stopped by.
Carol, the only thing I do is I was looking on a town's website at the selectmen, meetings, and I said, I'll go and check the planning board while I'm here. I checked it, and I found out that we had a meeting. And that was the first and that was on
Okay, because
Tuesday.
you're on my list, so.
Yeah, I didn't get a thing.
Neither did I, Paul.
Huh?
Neither did I.
I didn't get a thing.
so I got
I'm not
one,
sure when I got anything either on email. I picked this up. Person,
yeah,
Like I said, I didn't even know we were having a meeting till Tuesdays. Picked it up, was like, okay.
the only email I got was Karina made changes in your shared folders, and that was yesterday at 2:55 PM.
believe I
Okay,
got that.
so I have 3 emails that I sent out, so I'm gonna have to check with certified. See something not working.
Can we, I thought we were going to get,
I mean, why don't we talk about this under other business?
Okay.
Right now, we're on
that's
the,
nice. Can do that. Make a motion to put these off until after the discussion about.
okay, is there a second? No, all in favor? Aye, anyone opposed? All right, that carries. Next item on the agenda, consideration of the grant application for grant from Invest New Hampshire Housing Opportunity Planning HOP grant program. Do we want to revise the application for grant to the community or not? So I know we talked about this last fall. And, you know, there was consensus that as long as we got 100% funding and that they weren't going to dictate to us, you know, what we could or couldn't put in the ordinance, so we were going to move forward. So I guess the question is, have there been any updates?
Yes, if you'll notice way in the back of your packet. There's the initial letter that Karina sent. And then there's exhibit A, which is the last thing in your packet. And they did not feel that we were ready for that. They felt that the next step for us would be community engagement plan, which is what Karina has highlighted here for you.
Exhibit A,
It's exhibit A. But you need to look at the back.
okay, so I don't have anything highlighted, I just have exhibit A.
You don't have a.
The blue in the back. The blue in the back.
No.
Okay, so there's different components to doing what we asked for, and we basically have asked for step 3, and they're saying you have to do step 1 first. Then 1 is the community engagement plan.
So, I mean, do we know how much money is left in the program?
No, but we did talk to them, Brandon and I talked to them on the phone. And they said that before the next step for us would be to see if you would have potential buy-in, of your voters, doing outreach to your voters and selling them on the idea of moving towards housing, better housing options.
Okay, how long ago did you and Karina speak to them?
couple weeks ago, maybe.
Okay.
3 weeks ago, I can't remember. Somewhere.
Does anyone have any questions?
Just one. You should buy into it. The town control the property so they cannot be sold at exorbitant profit later on. The tenant wants to move out and sell the property. Some towns have a restriction in place. And I tend to the option, they tend to several meetings in Concord, workforce housing and employee housing, everything they had a comment. You can put attachment on the deed, so they can't sell over a certain amount. I agree about what they pay for it. So it has to be considered in perpetuity, the workforce housing should get transferred to somebody else.
I don't know if that's the same program we're talking about. I think
It's all tied in together.
Well, what, this grant is looking at whether we want to do what they're calling community engagement. In other words, before they did do what we asked them for, which was to look at our zoning rules and see what suggestions they have to make it easier to put in, residential workforce housing. Before we do that, they want to do a community engagement study or session where they get input from people. So,
We need it,
so-
300 acres across the river here could be used.
Well, yeah, but
so do we want to engage the community in the discussion or not? That's sort of, is that the right question, Jim?
right, I mean, I think it would be
It's
something,
only discussion, it's not.
Yeah.
Something written in stone, but
Paul,
You have to have someone that's gonna participate in community engagement training first. And that can be any number of people, from what it sounds like, and it's done through the UNH Cooperative Extension. When we talked about doing this, we said that and it appears that support staff can get $250 per academy participant. I mean, I like to read about this a little more. Like I said, I'm just seeing this stuff tonight.
are you looking at task 3? It says Housing Academy stipend.
Pardon me?
Are you looking at, where it says budget template, task 3?
It says to encourage support involvement of volunteers, municipalities, community engagements, stipend of $250 per household academy participant will be approved.
Yes, you're looking on page 7 and 10.
I'm the only, yes, 7 of 10. The only one I got that was highlighted. Yeah, yours is not highlighted, mine just highlighted at the
Yeah,
top.
I got highlighted, but that's okay.
You must have got all the pages. Well, we only got one.
Okay,
This is the only page that Karina gave. So,
But did you get more than one page?
I got the original packet, so. I didn't get any highlight. That's all right, as long as I have everything,
Okay, no.
I'll read it more closely.
One of the things we talked about earlier was to make sure that if we were gonna get involved in this, and it's probably a good thing to be involved in, it wasn't gonna cost taxpayers anything. That's what we said. We voted and said, we don't mind being a participant in it as long as it didn't cost the town anything, and that.
Yeah.
We wanted to make sure that our staff was going to be, if our staff was gonna participate, they would be paid. So it sounds like here, staff's going to be paid for the training to be able to be a part of this. My question would be, if we become a part of this training, and then we look at it and say, nah, we're not interested in this because it's a whole lot more than what we want to do. Do we have to pay back $250 per participant training, and what other costs are there to the town?
I remember that, so,
Yeah,
details
you
of
know.
the actual cost, the town's portion, cost sharing.
Right.
But I think what they're saying is we have to feel out the public to see if they're gonna even consider voting on it, therefore.
That also talks about consistency with the master plan. I don't know if our master plan has anything in it that pertains to affordable housing.
I believe it does.
Pardon me?
I believe it does,
Believe it, yeah, I think that's, I don't know what,
right?
but to vote on whether or not we wanna do this right now, I think we need more information. I need more information, I know that.
That's fine. Joe, you had a comment?
yes, on the third page in the front part of the paper. Is that grants that must be in by January 27th. I just read that. It's the middle of February now, so we still have to put the application in, even though we're 3 weeks late.
I haven't even got that far yet, Joe, so I
Okay.
don't know.
we got the initial application in time. Then they met with us and said, you should revise your application. So that's where we are.
But the application, according to this, the application can't be proposed after the 27th. Am I wrong or right?
They said revise. Question is, do you want us to do a revision or not?
Well, so if the applications are accepted on a rolling basis, will be accepted until June 30th of 2023 is what this says. On the town of Lincoln's portion. I don't know where town of Lincoln, where Karina got that, but that on the first page of this one right here. And I remember the selectmen's meeting, Karina stated that, is that right, or OJ? I think Karina said that even though they were, it stated the date on there, but they were accepting them until June 30th. So that would mean we still have time to do it, and we to do a little more research into this to make sure that's everything we want, I think.
You know, I think I'd like to see a copy of the application submitted. Can we get that?
No, it says,
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
it said we can apply for up to 25,000 each, doesn't take the analysis and planning. It has to be by the 27th of January.
Yeah, well, this,
That's
Carol
what
said
I
they, this Carol said they put in an application, it's on the back burner because we didn't do any community outreach. Is that the message you're telling us?
Well, we submitted the application, it was a complete application. They came back to us, they met with us, the whole board, you know, over the telephone, met with us and said, we're really looking for community engagement as the first stepping stone for what you're looking for. And so, would you revise the application? And so Marina wants to come back to you, say, is that what you want her to do? You want her to revise the application to do the community engagement component.
And then, you know, how long is that process gonna take?
I don't know, I mean, just.
I'm not talking about I'm talking about how much community outreach do we have to do? And you have to reach out for 30 days, we have to reach out for 60 days.
I don't know.
Okay.
I think we need more information. It sounds like. At all. What is the total amount of grant that's available, you know?
I thought I saw nationwide it was 100 million.
What's typical,
It says. The regulatory audit is up to 50,000 for a permanent municipality.
that's not a lot when you're looking at a community housing project.
You're not talking about
But-
building it, you're talking about making your ordinances. Compatible with.
Friendly to workforce housing.
Workforce housing.
Sangarina's still involved in this.
What's that?
Sangarina's down there.
I see that piece.
Sangarina's involved in this with the state,
See, I have,
USP member.
I have this page, the whole packet, but that's okay, as long as I get the same thing.
Every page.
Yeah, no,
Says
I have the
municipalities
same thing.
Program funds for other costs associated with the project with prior approval from the steering committee.
Does anyone else have any other thoughts? It's like,
I don't even have a copy of. A one page or any page,
look at mine.
You must have this.
I don't have anything.
Do we want to?
It was in the packet tonight. The next one was in my
I think
packet.
I picked up my packet too early, but I.
Oh.
because
I
I'm
get
gonna
mine
read
up-
it
I
today.
get mine up Tuesday.
I'm not gonna read it right now. I mean,
No,
it's-
there's a lot to it.
Yeah,
Do we want to put this off till the next meeting?
I'm sputtering out, I think, right now.
I'll make a motion that we put it off till next meeting.
I'm starting to.
All in favor?
Right, but I'd like to make sure that we. Before the end of tonight, that we grab, kind of get a list of questions that we want answered, so that at the next meeting. You know, if we want, we don't have to hold up the other applicants tonight for, but at the end of the meeting, maybe we could just look at it. That'd be all right.
Mhm.
Right, new business. Site plan review application SPR 2022-21, map 126, lot 19. Mountain Club on Loon Unit Owners Association, commercial building, rooftop solar panel array greater than 25,000 kilowatt hours. Proposal application for site plan review approval for a 58.5 kilowatt DC 40,000 kilowatts AC photovoltaic system, flush mounted rooftop solar array to offset commercial electricity usage at the Mountain Club on Loon Resort and Spa. The solar panel array as proposed to be located on the back rooftop furthest away from Loon Mountain Road in the southeasternmost section of the building closest to the ski trail known as Lower Bear Claw. Who's here for this?
Hello.
Whoa.
Should I come up here?
It's 58,000 kilowatts. Is that how we're saying it?
58,000
58,000.
watts, 58.
Okay, this says 58,800 kW DC.
Oh,
That
it
thousand.
should say
$58.8.
Oh,
58.
excuse me, all right.
Yeah.
My name's Megan Newland. I'm here from Revision Energy for the solar contractor and have got another here from the not club on the also.
Make your presentation.
Sure. So we are installing a 58.8 kW system for Mountain Club on Lynn. As it was kind of noted, it is going on the rooftop of the spa and wellness center, which is this building right here. And in this location that you can see on the site plan. Mountain Club is moving forward with the project to offset their on-site electricity usage and replace a portion of it with renewable energy. And the system is projected to produce about 68.
Excuse me. You speak up.
Oh, sure. Yes, the system,
Down, I can't hear you up here.
okay. The
I'm not trying to
system,
be rude, don't get me wrong.
no worries, thank you for letting me know. The system.
I'm getting older than I am.
Yes. So it should produce just over 65,000 kilowatt hours of electricity per year and will directly reduce the Mountain Club's electric bill. As far as the installation itself, it's fairly straightforward rooftop installation. There are 147 panels and they are all black for visual aesthetics. They blend in with the roof fairly well. It's symmetrical and it's mounted on the rooftop by horizontal rails that run underneath and they're attached to the roof deck with a flashed foot, so it's a watertight seal.
Did you say they were mounted flat to the roof?
They're flush mounted, so the array will be in
Well,
line with the
grid,
roof
right.
edge.
Will it be elevated off the roof?
They'll be elevated off the roof about 6 inches, so the
6
entire
inches,
array
okay,
is
yep.
about 6 inches in height. The exterior equipment is going to be located on the southwestern side of the building over here. It's mounted on the wall, so there's no new ground footprint. And that is located near the other mechanical equipment for the facility. And overall, that's the brief project overview. It's pretty simple project and we don't expect any negative impacts to the building or surrounding properties, but you should answer any questions about it.
Okay, does anyone have any questions right off?
I do.
Okay,
Quickly scanned the town's solar ordinance. I really haven't had a whole lot of chance to look at it, but. I didn't receive this till tonight, but the solar array is part of, it's gonna sit on the roof, so if. From what I remember from the town ordinance. The solar array becomes part of the structure. And what's the height? Do we have any height?
I
Is there any
believe,
height restriction problems on this because
It's not a residence.
it's a commercial
Panel,
building?
I mean,
Did you read the ordinance? The ordinance says that if the solar is on the roof, then it has to meet, it still has to meet the requirement to be within the height.
35 feet to the primary eaves.
Yeah, and I don't know how big, how tall this building is or where this is gonna be, so I don't know what that.
How big's each panel, like 3 by 5?
each panel is. It's a good question. It is on the spec sheet. Okay, 2 questions there.
This Probably just about the same size as what Dave Rogers got.
Probably is, right. I
You
mean,
got
it's
about
probably
150 beds.
But
It's
I can't remember what that building looked like, so if the roof, if it had. If the roof pitch was already 30, whatever the primary thing is, and this was 6 inches above it, it would need a variance to be.
Well,
Okay,
there's another way you can get around it.
so,
Well, let's just, let me make a
Well, what's that
presentation.
deal?
yeah, so the building, in the front portion of the building, I believe it's around 15 feet at the front edge, but then you have a drop off on the back side, so the back edge of the building is much taller.
So, right, so the primary. From the primary eve or where that would be, it can't be taller than 30, is it 30,
35 feet.
35 feet.
The primary eve is this first front edge. or-
Well, it's at the tallest edge of the, wherever your drop off would be in the back.
Actually, the shortest.
It's the shortest edge.
The
I
short,
thought the dentist was over here, we did the tallest edge.
it's on an existing roof, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's on the uphill side, so, okay, so here's the mountain like this. And then, the building goes up like this and down like that. And it's the primary one uphill side. So it's the shortest.
Shortest.
Yeah,
Okay.
So
Like I said,
this is well within.
It's well then, okay. And I don't know if there's any other. Things that should be considered based on the ordinance that the town has, so.
No, but we do ask people who put solar, on there to check with the fire chief first, because he wants to make sure that there's an aisle for firefighting. I think you talked about that
Right,
already.
there are things about, yeah, there's something with the fire
Yeah.
chief and there's also.
And, the grounding, so nobody's gonna get electrocuted while we put the fire out.
There's also structural components that I thought that. That had to be considered, the weight.
Yep.
What is the load of the panels?
Sorry, what was that?
What's the load of the panels? Is it-
The panels are usually around 3 pounds per square foot for a flush mounted array. We have done a structural review on the building that has been stamped by an engineer that says it will support the weight of the panels.
Was that submitted to the town?
It has not been yet. It would be as part of the land use authorization permit, I believe,
Yeah,
after
it should
this
be,
step.
should be submitted, yeah.
So I think that will come after this. The array does have the required 3-foot setbacks all around the edge of it for fire access. So you can get a ladder up either side of the array. Put down to the top. Also has a single point of exterior disconnect for fire safety and emergency responders, so they'll be able to go and it's a knife blade disconnect, they can shut off the entire system.
Okay, Joe, you have a question?
My interpretation. The panels are not part of the eaves. It's above the eaves, you can put a dormer on top. It's still legal, which is higher than 6 inches. Am I right? So this shouldn't be any problem.
Well, it's not, it's short enough anyway. I didn't know it was short. When I'm looking at it, Joe, I didn't even, I couldn't remember what the height was.
So the backside of the building. Toward the north and northeast is much higher because you get their permits when they did it. To meet the heat requirement, they raised up the property in front, but let the ones in back go down lower so you get access from the fire truck in front to meet the criteria. That's what was done in planning board back then.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this is the first I've seen of it.
No, I'm not arguing, I'm just telling you.
We just put it back in tonight, and I don't know if there's any other. Requirements in our ordinance that we should. Be considering, because
Well,
I wasn't prepared to look at it all, you know.
my interpretation is not part of the eve, you put 2 dormers up there, you can't stop them. It's legal. They're not part of the eaves. The
But the
primary
way-
eaves.
Right, and the way that the ordinance is written, it does say that it does affect it, so that's what. I quickly glanced through it, there was that, and there was, I think it was a page and a half, 2 pages of considerations. In our ordinance, and I. Didn't have a chance, did you?
So I think-
It was back when I was talking to her
Yeah.
quite some.
I think it's been determined that it's not gonna exceed the
No.
height.
Well, we know it's not gonna exceed the height, but I don't know what other things there may be in our ordinance that we should be considering tonight. About it, because it. You know, we don't have the ordinance here to look at it and say, how about this, how about that?
Like what Carol said, we had this problem before, and they coached the fire chief, he made sure that room to go between the panels to get up to access it, and Carol just mentioned.
I mean, I'm all in favor of solar, I think it's great.
No, I'm not,
I just wanna make sure that it meets the ordinance that we have for the town. And I can't do that because I haven't reviewed it.
For what it's worth, we did read through, the sections pertaining to solar and
Excuse me?
the height of the eaves was the only thing that really stood out to me as pertinent. Oh, I apologize. I did read through
Don't be
the
talking over
ordinance.
your voice here.
So, I don't believe that there is anything else particularly pertinent to the array aside from any height concerns because it's not expanding onto.
Well, I think that
new.
the height and the thing about the structural,
Mhm.
if you had that reviewed by an engineer and you have an engineering stamp on it,
Yep,
to provide that for the town would be important.
Yep.
And to have the fire chief, I think it sounds like, do a review
mhm,
and make sure that he's okay with it, and have him sign off on it, to me would be important. Other than that, I don't, like I said, I'm going over the ordinance quickly.
mhm, yeah.
I didn't see a whole lot, but I just
yeah,
checked it tonight, so.
mhm, certainly.
I don't see any problem with either. There's one question, it would be, will it be a backup, it would be a kind of storage backup, the electrical going directly into the system.
It would not go into storage backup. It would
Okay,
go
curious.
directly.
Do you have an agreement with the co-op to be able to do this?
Yep.
Because I think, I'm just trying to remember things, but I think there was something in there said that you have to have something in writing from the co-op to be able to do this as well.
Yep, that has been submitted and approved.
That's been submitted, so the town will need a copy of that as well.
Okay,
I mean, we can make anything conditional, I suppose, on meeting the requirements, but.
It's not like it's the only one around.
No, I know,
Yeah.
I know, you just don't.
Correct.
No, this is it.
No, this is
Okay.
it.
So, but it's improved, more modified.
Yeah, there's an application right there.
We need a motor on that, Karen.
I'm
Thank you.
happy to provide any of those documents. My understanding was that they would typically be provided at the next step of the permitting process.
There was that, there we go.
All right, if I can just have a copy of the picture.
Solar can be on. Solar's got its own. It's 80 starts on 87, I guess, 87 to 92. Sorry about this. but
Be safe and sorry.
Carol, all the abutters have been notified?
Yes.
Said 87.
Underneath the site, on the site. plan
Tab
view.
number 2.
Oh,
Number 2.
Oh, is it?
It's right there, it's right. There's a lot of definitions. What's the residential, that you get to pay. The hard things are on page 90. I think number 5 speaks.
More of it now.
I don't see anything in the
Yeah, I don't see anything.
ordinances. Again, other than checking it out with the fire chief, because I thought he wanted walking space between every so many
Yeah.
feet of panels
Okay,
to get up the building, which you're not showing,
okay,
but, I don't know what those dimensions are. The fire chief knows.
yep, certainly.
That's my only comment. Other than
So-
that, yeah.
Yeah, the only question I have, do you have any electrical equipment on the ground?
Nothing's ground mounted, it's all mounted on
Okay.
the exterior wall of the building.
Ryan said, it, or the chief said it. They don't be walking the panel, stepping into the electric panel, and get electrocuted.
Right, well, there's a disconnect switch they're gonna have.
You could do 2 panels and walk between
Right.
that. For servicing and for emergencies.
They do need to meet, all applicable state and federal requirements, I believe, and then it said something about that.
System is-
Underneath, minimum construction standards, so state codes apply, all solar energy systems shall conform to applicable state and federal laws and regulations and local ordinances, including state building codes, state electrical code, and the state fire code. So we would need somebody to sign. There would be a, what do you call them, after it's installed, it says it meets it. What do contractors do?
They sign the
Affidavit.
construction controller.
Okay, right. So you would be
That
responsible.
would, yeah, that would be part of her, one of the.
Once it's installed, somebody would have to sign that.
Mhm.
Are we ready to look at the application for completeness?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's no signs, no advertising on any of this.
Nope.
Okay, so I'm gonna start, I'm gonna run through them, and anyone has any questions, just let me know, we will discuss. Scale not less than 1 inch equals 40 inches provided. Submit 3 copies of blue or black line prints provided. Submit a digital copy of the print provided. Date, title, north arrow, and scale provided. Name and address of the owner and applicant provided. Name and address of the licensed land surveyor applicable. An accurate plan of the site showing existing natural features, including water courses and water bodies, various types of vegetation, topographical features, and any other features which should be considered in the site design process not applicable. The type, extent, and location of existing and proposed landscape and open space areas indicating what existing landscaped and open space areas will be retained, not applicable. Existing and proposed topography of the site at 2-foot contour intervals not applicable. Soil mapping units and unit boundaries not applicable. Floodplain identification areas not applicable. Location of all buildings within 50 feet of site and the location of all intersecting roads, all intersecting roads or driveways and utilities, water, sewer, electrical, cable, and telephone within 200 feet provided. The location of all building setbacks required by the land use plan ordinance provided. Location and district boundaries, including wetlands, not applicable. Lot area, street frontage, and requirements for minimum lot size not applicable. Location of off-street parking and loading spaces with a layout of the parking indicated, not applicable. Location, width, curbing, and type of access ways and egress ways not applicable. Location of all existing and proposed deed restrictions, covenants, etc., not applicable. Surveyed property lines showing the deflection angles, distances, radiuses, lengths of arcs, control angles along property lines, and monument locations and names of all abutters not applicable. If the development is a subdivision, then lines and names of all proposed streets, lands, and ways of easements intended to be dedicated to public use. All subdivision regulations shall apply, not applicable. Plan views of all buildings, either existing or proposed, with their use, size, location, and floor elevations indicated, not applicable. A typical elevation view of all existing and proposed buildings indicating their height and signing, not applicable. Type and location of solid waste disposal facilities, not applicable. Location, size, and design of proposed signs and other advertising or instructional devices, not applicable. Stormwater drainage plan showing the existing and proposed methods of handling stormwater runoff, not applicable. Direction of flow of the runoff through the use of arrows, not applicable. Location, elevation, and size of all catch basins, dry wells, drainage ditches, swales, retention basins, and storm sewers, not applicable. Engineering calculations used to determine drainage requirements, not applicable. The size and proposed location of water supply and storage facilities and provision for future expansion of storage and water facilities, not applicable. The proposed size and location of existing and proposed public and private utility connections, including provisions for fire protection provided. Location and type of all existing and proposed lighting for all outdoor facilities, not applicable. Copies of all applications submitted for applicable state approvals and permits, not applicable. Performance guarantee of bond, not applicable. Illustration of effect on pedestrian and automotive circulation not applicable. Illustration of fencing walls and buffers not applicable. If waivers for non-compliance, DOT construction specifications for roads, parking, streets, drainage, and provisions will be required, not applicable. Does anyone have any questions on any of that?
But I do have a couple of questions about the ordinance.
Okay, so let's, we're ready to accept the application as complete.
So move.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, or Paul, you want to ask your questions now before we open public comment?
Yeah, I'd like to ask them now.
Go ahead.
So in our ordinance, it speaks to. Something about. Placement of solar panels should be situated, to minimize or negate any solar glare onto nearby properties, roadways. Is there any glare with these things?
Basically,
They have been shown to, basically, they reflect less than 2% of light, so any glare is comparable to like surface water and less than building windows. Based on the tilt of the building, I think glare is going to be reflected upwards.
Upward,
Yeah,
yeah.
and we have done a study with the FAA. Typically, like aircraft is the only real concern for glare from solar, so we have passed that.
I'm fine. It's just in our ordinance, that's why I asked.
Nope, I'm just
Um,
giving you the background on our due diligence there.
and then it also says. So who's gonna be the owner? Owning and maintaining this solar energy system, is it through you or through the Mount Club?
Through the Mountain Club.
That's good, that has.
Well, you all said we're gonna open public comment.
Yeah, for now.
Okay, I mean, you can ask more.
Look, I'm trying to read the ordinance and ask questions at the same time.
Is there a motion to open public comment?
So.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
I.
Public comment is open. Would anyone like to speak on this matter? Is there a motion to close public comment?
So moved.
Paul second, Joe made the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any further questions for the board? Well, if you need to take a few minutes, that's fine.
I was just gonna, I think I can take care of my concerns with the motion with conditions. We can approve it with.
Review
make a
of the
motion.
fire, subject to review of the fire chief. by the fire
Subject to
chief.
review of the fire chief. The engineering report, being structural engineering report, being made. To the town, given to the town.
Okay.
That shows that the, what structural is. And there was something else, what did I say? That's one other thing. I think that might have been it, maybe just those two things. Fire chief and the structural report,
Being submitted. Did you actually do an engineering report?
they do have what
Yeah.
you said.
Yes, I tried to print it out, but something was going wrong with the printer and
Okay.
it's away from it, so. Tried to bring it along.
No, but, subject to review of the fire chief, and I'm just thinking that we should put something, in there, like particularly with respect to the alleys between the panels.
Well, it's,
Well,
I mean, that's what
The
fire
fire-
chief.
Fire chief's approval, if he doesn't approve it, they'll have to modify it, that's a condition.
We show you the fire, but
All right.
And the engineering report will state that the roof load will
Yeah,
carry it,
Mark,
that was one of the concerns.
Ron will make that decision.
Did somebody specify
supposed to
space between the panels?
No, I mean, Ron needs more info. Different stuff.
Clean up in there, so they cut a hole in the top of the,
Yeah.
as part of their firefighting thing, is to reduce the amount of damage. Done to the building, and they cut holes in the top, they have to climb the roof in order to do that.
That's the purpose of the spaces between the panels.
Basis to access the top of the roof.
creates a vent for the fire to create, right, they get in to work on it.
Yeah.
Smoke.
All right, so we have those two conditions. So is there a motion to approve this subject to the two conditions, receipt of the review by the fire chief and then receipt of the engineering report?
I have one other question in here.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I don't know what this thing is, but in our ordinance on. Page 88, solar sky space easement. I have no idea what that is.
So the what?
A solar. Sky Space Easement, do you know what that is?
Where is it? Where are you at, Paul?
It's not-
It's-
I have heard
It's
of
the last. it's the
On
last
page
big-
88, it's number 11.
Yeah.
Oh, 80, I'm sorry.
Basically, what it comes down to is. Your building beside it, blocking the sun, hitting the panels.
Exactly,
Is that what that is?
right,
I don't know.
Yeah.
right.
That's
If
not
if you're
the
putting a
same.
solar panel and my big maple tree blocks all of your solar panels.
Too bad.
Too bad, but if I give you an easement. That
Okay.
says I'll cut it down and will never let it, you own that, so that would be the solar sky space easement if I.
It's sort of like a
Do
line,
they, that,
line of sight easement.
Line of sight,
Correct.
so that's not germane to any of this because. Of property, I don't know, I'm just asking.
Right, to the property.
That's just,
if they close the ski area and let the trees build up 50 feet, it will be a problem, but it won't be their biggest
It
problem.
won't be there.
Yeah.
You can't be that ski around.
Like I said, I'm just asking.
No, I mean, that's in definitions, it's not a requirement, anyway.
Just wondering, it doesn't mean much. Why no storage batteries? Just too expensive for what you get out of it?
Yeah, that's entirely up to the
Yeah.
customer. They are expensive right now, and it depends on
Probably
your
just
setup.
not worth it.
and-
You have to buy them
The
disposable.
maintenance on them are expensive, the battery.
Yeah,
Yeah, is this expensive just because the technology hasn't advanced enough to make them affordable, or just because of demand?
Oh. They had been coming down prior to the pandemic, but after that, it's kind of skyrocketed.
So kind of the raw material prices being up.
That's much better for the system.
With net metering, I don't assume it makes any economic sense to purchase batteries when you can just net meter.
yeah.
For commercial systems, I think that's true right now. It's not really possible to install them cost effectively at the scale needed for a commercial operation. For residences, if you're looking to, back up your home when the power goes out, then it makes a little bit more sense.
Can I ask what percentage of? Power will this reduce? What's the footprint?
So it will produce just over 65,000 kilowatt hours. Mountain Club has a little bit of an interesting setup, with their electric bill, where it's behind the entire Lynn campus meter, so they'll have a production meter through their, arrangement with the campus, they'll see reduced bills, but I don't know the exact percentage. So reduced by the amount of production.
Yeah, I just don't know what,
I don't know.
what percentage of the total that was gonna be, you know, Jeff?
I don't know the percentage off the top of my head, but basically. The amount of power that we generate will basically. Be used in the spa only. And
No kidding.
it's gonna make a small dent in our whole electric bill.
Yeah.
But it won't even provide enough power just to do the spa.
It will not.
It will not,
Wow.
but it'll help.
Well, yeah, everything's out, for sure.
We just think right now, GE just in developing a cylindrical watt tower, which you could probably put those in a mountain in the future, not right now. It doesn't have the big blade, it just goes on with big cylinder current. Using the same turbines as in the windmills. That's coming.
All right, so I made a motion and.
Did you make a motion?
With the two conditions.
Okay, and then conditions are reviewed by the fire chief and subject to the time receiving a copy of the engineering report for
Yeah.
structure.
Correct.
All right, is there a second? All in, any other discussion? All in favor, signify aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Thank
Good luck.
Thanks very much for your time this evening.
That's getting close.
Oh.
It's the big set for me. For the-
Yes, I can leave you.
No.
Do we come back before you with that information, or do we provide it?
Carol.
Just Carol.
That's fine.
Yeah, you'll just. Fill out a land use contact application.
Thank you very much.
Fire chief job.
You're done here.
Pretty quiet this week, Jeff?
That's it.
I'm sorry.
Pretty quiet up there this week?
Oh, yeah, real quick. Thank you very much.
Good to
Yeah,
come very
good luck.
well.
Conceptual. CON 2023-01, map 106, lot 6, James Street, group of Junior and Lisa M. Group of BBA profile motel and cabins, commercial buildings, expansion of use, add 3 new cabins to existing commercial buildings. Existing buildings include motel and cabins. James,
I'm actually Matthew, I'm new son.
okay, tell us what you'd like to accomplish.
We're gonna not only expand on the business, but also just definitely secure workforce housing when that becomes necessary. My neighbor, Christopher Levy. You might know Ray Levy passed away not too long ago.
Yeah.
It's very realistic that as of
This
right
is
now.
property, right,
This is the profile motel, right next to the old drummer
Next to
boy.
Ray's property with Hanson Farm Road in between.
Well, yeah.
So you get off
profile, the one on the, so,
on the left, it's, you know, where the old drummer boy was.
right, the one.
Right next-
Right next to
Picture of the other side of the-
It's a cemetery, okay, yep.
And then this is what it looks like.
You just reason to buy that, or?
No, my father's owned it since 2009.
Oh, that's, yep,
Okay, so this is.
yep, I'm aware where it is now, yep, I got you now.
And you can see where the paving. and the parts of-
Okay. All right. I'm okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
So currently, we rent, we're renting cabins from Christopher Levy for our employees in summer. We are always trying to have local employees. However, it's just difficult. We're only in operation for 5 months, so typically we hire J1 students, and I'm sure you guys are all familiar with the J1 students. However, Christopher Levy's property, that may not always be a rental. That might not be an option in the future, so definitely looking to put in some, for the time being, they would be just rental cabins.
It's transient lodging.
Correct.
Yeah.
And in the winter, they would be, I've actually already spoken to some folks with the Ice Castle, and they would be interested in renting those out for workforce housing in the winter.
Who did you speak to? I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Who did I speak to?
Ice Castle.
Oh,
Ice
yes,
Castle.
I'm sorry, okay, that, I didn't mean the person, I meant the entity. I didn't-
No, that's fine, and they're definitely interested. Well, they wanted to rent my other, the rest of my units aren't winterized and don't have cooking facilities.
Okay,
So these units would be, dishwashers, cooking, so things that.
How many bedroom, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom?
It would be 1 bedroom with a fold out couch, but 1 bedroom with a fold out couch. If somebody had kids, it wouldn't necessarily be marketed to, for adults. Well, I don't know who wants to sleep on a sleeper couch, but
How about parking? I see you've got. Proposed parking space, is that new parking space?
yes, that would be a new parking space. That was prepared by Steve Towers, and he said that would be ample turnaround space and parking. Right now, it's just grass.
you just have one space per unit,
Correct.
we would require 2.
For this look, two for this kind of thing, it's not really a motel room.
Right, I mean, if it was a motel room, it's,
Go
I
on
think it's
one.
1 and a 1 or 1
One
and a
quarter.
quarter.
Also,
Yeah.
one other thing. There has to be at least 10 feet. Buffer between each cabin. Without current ordinance.
What's the distance between them?
Setback,
Each cabin can be distance apart. So fire
Yeah,
purpose.
can you guys speak up? 'Cause I'm having trouble hearing you, and I think that the audio might not get picked up.
I was saying that the space between the cabins has to be a certain linear feet. It can't be closer than just 10 feet apart. It's gotta be a certain feet from each cabin to the other one, due to fire purposes and constraints dealing with access for.
Is
Yeah.
that,
fire truck, you gotta find, but
is that building code or
Yes.
is that local code?
That's our local code.
Huh?
No.
Our local.
So I was.
Building.
We have
Two.
Yeah, we enforced it at Loon Village, we enforced it at Clearbrook, we enforced it at Coolidge.
okay, but
So we'd have to look in the book and see.
So it's.
without getting into that,
Well, no, we're waiting for Ryan did do some research, but he was looking to verify with Ron, but he hasn't been able to catch up with Ron. So this is his research, but like I said, it's like he doesn't, wants to verify with Ron.
I believe it's gonna be where the original gift shop was.
Excuse me? There was a
These
gift shop
cabins,
there.
there was the gift shop in the main house here, the one on this side, we just turned up and we got them.
That was, there was a
We
gift.
married the owner's daughter, which is Jermaine.
Yeah.
I can go back, way back.
If I'm right, it was. it
Then
used
it
to be
kept,
a
it
gas-
kept,
it was a
it kept
gas
separate.
station.
But Dick Yost merged them together. Yeah, you didn't want to pay that tax and a separate piece of property.
That, no, that is. It was, am I correct? It used to be a gas station?
Gas station actually was down
There you go.
into Liberty Road. Well, right by the interstate bridges go across, you had a separate gas station right there. Tanks were taken out back in the 30s or 40s.
Oh, that's good. All right. That was-
And I have the original map of the whole area, I can get the town maps. The original map, I can get, I have access to, even need to look at them. I get them stored somewhere else, I don't throw them down here, because I'll never get them back.
So. If Ron. For some reason Ron didn't comment on this,
Well, he's just been out straight at his other jobs.
I mean, it looks like it was sent yesterday, but,
You know,
Yeah.
yeah, Ryan's saying
to see that, okay, sorry about that.
10 feet between the buildings with fire rated exterior plywood or OSB board. And again, this is just a conceptual, if
Oh,
that
so-
is what the
Sorry.
state code says, we don't have a local code
Yeah,
that's
right.
different than the
Yeah.
state.
We have no.
Yes, we do.
enforces that.
Well,
Oh, okay, I'm unaware of a
We enforced it for Moon Village.
We
Now the
enforced
deck
what?
can be so far, it's
state code.
town code.
okay, well, these
Okay.
are, so you're saying we
I'm
need,
not saying it's still permanent, but you might want to check it, get a face on it.
All right,
I don't know, if town has it.
yeah. So I,
I just recommend looking at the state code.
Yeah, I
That would
looked
probably
at it,
qualify.
Ron Beard referenced me to the IEC and, this is, pretty much, consistent with what I've researched, and I in looking over the land use, like, was not, I did not see anything in the town regarding, or the state regarding, that, but I don't know if you guys.
There will be, I'm sure there will be something in the state, but.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
what Ryan is suggesting is 10 feet, but with the fire rated exterior plywood or OSB.
Yes, and these would be constructed with, fire rated.
And he said he spoke to the state fire marshals and they said that. They're in agreement that it should be constructed that way, so the state fire marshal will go in, it's pretty
Yeah.
much the authority having jurisdiction, so.
okay, Joe, you have something to add?
You know, just a comment on OJ, what happened was, we did not enforce that 10-foot rule between the buildings. Except for the state fire code, but it was stated, if they didn't have fire rated walls, there had to be somebody much further apart.
Right.
That's what the original concept came from, sorry. But that's what we came with in the '80s.
So you have some parking,
Well, it needs two, I believe it needs two spaces,
that's what we need.
if you're gonna use them, I mean, if they're not gonna be transient lodging.
So,
I mean, I guess the other thing is, are these gonna become year-round residences?
that would be a possibility if, Chris Mooney ever. I mean, it would be year round, it wouldn't be,
Year-round occupancy is what, I guess is a better question.
realistically, yes, that would be a possibility if Chris Mooney chooses to move his property.
So you'd have to make it fit the mold for a.
So I mean, so you need 15,000 square feet of land set aside per unit to do that.
The lot is,
Contiguous to all the other parts.
He can get a waiver for that, right?
Yeah, you need a variance, but he could get a,
But this
You
is
can
all
get a
about
variance
the
based-
privacy.
Wait, what is the ordinance on the ballot this year? Doesn't say that.
well, if it's transient lodging, we can just go with lot coverage.
Right.
But if it's a regular residential use, it's not a restricted multifamily. So like individual, single families on one lot.
But you'd be better
We
off.
did it, what we did at the, another property up the street, there was building cabins. We made sure you had enough 15,000 square feet of lot set aside for each cabin.
That was the red door, correct.
Yeah.
But we did it within the log cabin guy there.
Right.
Also, in his parking,
Well, no, we didn't go to the log cabin because they're not the transient lodging.
The transient, sorry about
These
that.
are, these is gonna be year round, I mean. But I think it's doable with 5 acres of land.
Well, I would think it would be in town's best interest. Here you get an applicant that wants to do something that's. Like a mix of affordable housing versus.
I mean, I don't disagree with the concept, I'm just trying to make it,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to look at his options so he can
yeah,
move along with it.
and another thing you do with his parking. Then parking, say you have to put the cabin, you know, that's 5 total amount of land, but 3 acres back is vacant. He could actually dedicate a separate off-site park, different,
just a gravel area.
gravel in his park. That's right, requirements, but it all be tied in together, if you ever sold.
So I do have a lot of additional available parking, not represented by that map is just. But the entire lot, I do have a significant additional parking, available for those, which.
Original owner of the gas station was Tom Pecto.
Yeah.
He's
There's,
actually, he's back far enough.
there's ample parking up there, because you could put spaces like along the house, in front of the house, by the sign, I mean.
Yes.
You have all kinds of parking there.
They're by the garage out back.
Well, that's the, good
It's
chunk of
just-
trees there
this
too,
is
that
like
would
the-
meet, would
Go
help meet.
Which-
He has a good chunk of
Yeah.
trees that are available. I'm sure he might, I don't know what the square footage requirement is and what he has available. But he, it would be best, I would think, to try and get him to come in underneath that. 15,000 square feet, or to look for, he has quite a bit of property.
So I mean, he'd probably make it.
I mean, if he can make that, it would be better, I would think, to have it approved that way, whether he uses it for that or not. At least if he gets it approved that way, and he wants to later on do that for. Full
Yeah,
time, he
because then
can
it's-
do it that way,
Then it's done, if the ordinance should change,
Right,
then he's protected.
right? I would think would be to help him out.
Yeah,
So.
You might wanna
just
have
so-
Go ahead.
I'm trying to understand what you're thinking.
My thinking is that he applies for this as, full-time, short-term housing. Not short-term housing.
Residential,
Residential
year-round
housing,
residential housing,
and that he
15,000.
And that he meets, hopefully he can meet the 15,000 square feet, so he would have to go back to Saborn and Tower. And see if they can figure out that he's got 15,000 square feet of property there that he can dedicate to this. Even if he doesn't use it that way right now, at least he's got the approval and he
Okay,
was
so-
87 by one. So he meets all those-
Conceptually, so. He has them clustered on the side, on the side of that main building, right? So, and in that area, there's not 15,000 square feet per unit, but you're thinking. He would set aside a portion of the other property, so this would be open space to support
Right,
the.
right, I mean, we'd
Right.
take encompass the whole piece of 5 acres.
Yes.
So we'd take a look at the entire 5 acres.
Right, that's right, and-
4.22 is what it
Okay.
says. And this
It's
came
not a
from
ball
the
and done
survey.
it.
Here,
and. Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah,
froze.
I'm not, can he use the brook as part of the 15,000 square feet? Probably not, huh?
So you don't count that.
Huh?
The brook?
Yeah.
No, you don't count that.
He also land across the brook too.
Well,
We count that.
see, you can see the outline here is gonna setback on the brook, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe if the brook's not counted, you can use that setback area, I don't know,
Imagine that he'd even need it, but.
Right.
No, I-
Plenty of land, but-
it would make sense, I think, to do it that way.
Would this be considered a multi-unit residential? That only has to abide by the lot coverage, not the square foot.
Well, he will be changing the use from commercial to commercial and residential, so it'd be. I don't
Well,
know.
that's not true, because there is currently
The
a residential there.
The multi-unit residential, I believe, says that we treat it like a
Yes.
commercial and it's just lot coverage.
It does, but it's not a multi-family, it's 3 individual houses. You put them all together, I would agree with you.
Right,
Does it, is that,
Well, he's got enough, OJ, to meet it anyway, I think. You don't think?
Oh, she is way more.
I think it's weighted, yeah.
That just let him go with that, and then he can have the best case scenario right there, he can do what he needs to do.
Just
Okay,
that
so
little
you're
lot,
talking about
where he
the
wants to put 'em,
restricted-
is 9,000 square feet, not counting the house.
Right, but he needs 15,000 each, so he needs 45,000.
Set aside,
He needs an acre, basically.
It must be like there somewhere, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I
take a look at the pictures, yeah.
It's not even close.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're talking about the restricted multifamily residential housing?
Yeah,
Okay, so that's defined on page 20. So I forgot to underline. A multifamily residence with single entity ownership whose use is restricted to long-term tenancy, which is defined as greater than 180 days. This type of use will be considered a business use. This type of use will be subject to the business use density requirements in each zoning district. So that's what you're talking about.
so that might make.
It doesn't,
Because buildings are restricted to being used for long-term rentals, because they're not my.
Yeah, but three individual units, and not, if you put them all together, then you could call it a multifamily.
But that doesn't say that they need to be all together.
well, but what if he rented? He's talking about renting 180 days. What is 180?
here's the thing, if it's a short-term rental. It's a commercial use and it fits in with the lot coverage requirements, which he's way under that, so he's fine. If it's long-term and we call it multi-unit residential, which I don't know if they have to be connected, it's multi-unit, multiple units. Residential, it falls into the lot coverage requirements, which is the same as the commercial. So either way he uses it, if we look at it from that approach, it's a lot coverage.
If you look on page 19, multifamily is defined.
Yeah,
Says a structure or combination of structures on a single parcel of land containing 3 or more housing units, whether for rental, condominium ownership, or other form of occupancy.
So that's,
I mean, that's in there.
so that's what it is.
Part of that
It's-
said,
it's-
combination of.
Oh, yeah.
you get him, I would think.
I would think if you come back and just apply for it as a short-term rental. With lot coverage, he can convert it through that. Definition to long-term. And back and forth, because it's the same requirement, it's based on lot coverage. Right?
Does,
It sounds good to me right now. I'm tired.
but if he does it the other way with a lot coverage one,
My pistons might not be there.
if he does it the other way with a lot coverage one, with a 15,000 square feet, then he's covered no matter what. That says, that, you kind of either picking one or the other.
Well, I mean, if you take that definition, a combination of structures. That kind of means you can put more than one house on a lot. Use that definition.
Which the state doesn't allow.
What's that?
The state doesn't allow you to do that, do they?
What do you mean?
Technically, you're supposed to have one house per lot,
One house per lot.
but
I
I mean,
know Mike Harrington wanted to do something. We couldn't,
right, but I mean, of course, there's no, we have town source, that's, that's really, part of it, that's for towns that have septic.
right?
It's definitely something we want.
And I mean, I'm not looking to stymie the project, I'm.
No,
Yeah,
no.
I'm just
I
thinking to do it
understand.
right.
I'm trying to get what he needs.
Yeah.
And the best way that he'll be able to get it back and forth, and I think OJ's kind of sort of on it, but I'm not sure that. I don't know if he needs to pick and choose the uses. When he picks that other one,
I don't think he does.
no.
I think it leaves it leaves him the most flexibility.
But how do you define it? If say he comes back later on and wants something different. How do you say what that is?
I guess my question is, why do you need to say what it is?
Depends on what he's applying for the next use.
That
If
land
he uses
back,
it-
He, this. So this is a commercial use if he is renting out and it's all in the same ownership. There was mention of, having.
Yep.
Everything has to be in the same ownership, so. I think it's doable, like OJ was saying. Because it's basically a rental. So it doesn't really matter, I don't think, whether it's short-term rental or long-term rental.
Well, no, so I mean, I'm just saying the most stringent is a single family. So if he comes in and applies for that, then it
Oh,
doesn't,
and he
then,
wouldn't be able to subdivide it off and sell it, like each one of those units, he wouldn't be able to. Subdivide it off and sell it, because each unit would have to be, if he wanted to do that, it'd have to be supported by 15,000 square feet.
But if you came in, right, but if you came in with 15,000 square feet.
but it was, it would, but if they're three individual single families, it's a residential use, it's not a commercial use.
And plus, in the future, the land in back, usually call it the white elephant. That big house.
Yes.
Because originally the guys that lived in the big house, they moved to the small hut cabin, then they moved to the cabin up front.
Who was that?
Gasso, Louis Gasso. Who daughter married Dave Cohen, who just died 2 weeks ago. That was Tom Schecter's daughter, Jermaine, that was married Louis Gasso.
Who was the guy that used to?
All right, can we give him some
Yeah.
direction on?
I think we should go like we did up here, lot coverage. Go our cabins.
Okay, but those, I mean, again, that's a business, clearly it's transient lodging, it's two different uses.
Well, they're not gonna be there permanently, so these cabins, they can be.
Well,
transferred.
eventually, he's saying they're gonna be permanent. I mean,
Well,
if
you
you're
can-
gonna rent them seasonally, then there's not a problem doing it as a business use.
But if that's that way, he can always
So
come in
wait,
for a
is it-
second use.
I can't, it's,
So I
go
don't
ahead.
understand, is it not a concern, because it was never my intention to rent them year round to the same individual. So,
Then this, yeah, then it's a business use. I mean, I'm sorry, I misunderstood what you were saying.
well, no, it would be similar to one, it would be, transient through the summer months.
Yeah.
And then in the winter, it would be rented out to Ice Castles Loon. A lot of people contact me annually, looking for winter housing. I don't have it because a lot of my units aren't winterized and they're not.
So it'd be less than 180 days each occupant you're anticipating, basically 6 months.
So that is the question. I don't know when it becomes. So typically, when they contact me, they want to rent it out for more than 185 days. As they're not incur the meals and rooms tax. But would that mean that it would be considered long? How would that?
Main concern is the state taxes on it. After so many days, so many months, you have to pay state, room and meals tax on it.
185.
185 days or less, you have to
Correct.
pay the tax, so.
Right, that's why he asked the question.
Is it 185 days if it's occupied by the same tenant for 185 days? Then does it become?
That's another.
I mean, I guess the clue is, can they use the rental to establish residency? That's one way of looking at it.
Or you can establish residency, but
They
after
don't,
1
they
month.
don't have to live there 180 days to establish tenants, residency.
Okay,
You can
They
ask,
can
the-
live there 2 days and establish residence. They can move in today and vote in the town meeting.
you can ask Susan, she can verify it. She's
Got it.
That's saying when we want to verify it, it's law.
no, but saying, she's the one stuff on it,
Susan's the judge, yeah.
All right.
Apparently.
put you in a hot spot. I don't hear about that tonight.
I think we,
So-
so what OJ said, because it's,
Well, I mean, if it's not year-round occupancy,
right, it sounds like what, he's not gonna have. He doesn't intend for it to be year-round occupancy, he intends for it to be transient occupancy, whether it's summer or whether it's winter.
There'd be a break between each season.
If it was gonna be a year-round occupancy, then he would have to change, we can make it a condition that the approval, that it's not, the approval's given without,
he'd have to come back in if he.
considerate, right, without consideration for year-round occupancy.
So he kicks the guy out and moves to another cabin.
But if you wanted year-round occupancy, then you would have to go a different route. So you want to think about which one really benefits you the most.
Yeah, this time, no, I would not be looking for year-round occupancy.
Then we'll go-
I go with OJ.
Yeah,
Then that's what I think the board is
I agree.
recommending.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, so.
Because you never
Then
know
it's,
what
then
you
it's
do
just
with the other
lot
property back.
coverage. There's no square foot. Minimum, it's the percentage of lot coverage, which again, you're gonna be so far under.
right.
yeah, we don't have to
I
worry
mean,
about it, really.
I don't think you're gonna need an engineer to decide that's less than, what is it up there, 70%?
Yes,
This is just conceptual, right?
yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
So all you really need to do is to get the fire chief to confirm that the 10-foot separation. And then in your application, you need to make it as, what do you call it, OJ again? I'm sorry,
Short term,
short term.
just,
Transient lodging.
Transient
yeah. Just like everything else in that, well, maybe except for the owner's house.
Right.
Just like everything else.
Alger was the one I was thinking of. Paul Belzer used to.
You know, but went from the, yeah, we got to the Elgin to Big Yellow, but.
I had to get it going, OJ, it's fine.
There's one thing though.
Wait, do
You
you
have
have
to have
anything else for the applicant?
Hold on,
No,
show us another question.
Okay.
I'm trying to protect the applicant. With this plan here showing up, but would you have to have a direct, blow up map of the whole
We'll have to have
property?
it, would the entire site come under review is what Joe's asking. We're not, entire plan of the site.
It always does.
Okay, so that,
Because the reason I'm asking is, because of this here before next time, doesn't have the whole site plan down. You may have to slow them down, get the permit to get it started earlier.
Every time you come up for site plan review, it's the whole site.
You have to show the whole map, the whole property, one map.
Steve,
You're showing half the property, not the whole map showing.
right, Steve, he said that it was, he, led me to believe that would be sufficient for your needs, but I'll talk to him. I'm sorry, I must have
So you just show part of the map, whoever's on the
I think I'll
planning
use
board at
the
the
locus.
time, we want to see the whole site on the map. Just show this, they may have you come back another week or two later to redraw it up and bring it in again, just trying to save you time.
And he can do that under a different scale too. That could be a little smaller,
Sure,
you know,
yeah, absolutely.
I'm not trying to stop you, I'm just trying to make it easy, but you don't get
but it kind of shows,
meeting after meeting after meeting.
it does kind of show what, everything that's there
yeah,
currently at the time. so
usually
probably
usually
the next-
basically you come in for site plan review, the whole site comes up for review.
Yeah.
More than this
I'll
little
let
process.
Dr. Steve, because he told me that was what I needed, and that's, why I mean, I would have.
Well, I mean, this is good, this is good for tonight. but-
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
understand, well, now I gotta pay for another survey.
Well, tell Steve that, that we
Well, Steve, he was wrong.
Wait, let Carol finish.
That we must have a survey in our. Because we have, the tax map came from a survey, we have one probably in our drawers. So Steve wanted to stop down, I could pull that map and he could look at it, take a picture of it.
Well, you have it. Meets and bounds are on these other small plans, so.
He's talking about a survey.
Right,
Yeah, when we did when the tax maps were done, if you see AC on the tax map as opposed to AC in the house, that means it came from a survey. That means that we have a survey and should have a survey in our drawer, unless for some reason it is disappeared, but.
I
most
do
of
have,
it-
but it's why I did.
Yeah.
I have a survey of the
Yeah.
lot.
of the whole thing,
This guy.
Oh, okay,
Then that's under.
yeah,
all right.
that's
Well,
all he has to do.
surveyors have been asking for those, the cop, take a picture, whatever it is we have, when they're doing a survey. So what I'm just saying is if Steve and do it before, they can come and look at this.
Do you want these back?
Start.
I don't necessarily need that, I'll take them, you guys, no use.
Yeah,
Well, if you're coming back. For,
Sure, I will be coming back in.
Yeah. I would do that.
So as I understand it, I have to speak with Ron Beard and submitted this transient lodging.
yeah, we'll get together with Carol, she'll help you through the process.
Very good.
Yeah.
Sure, we're going to schedule that now. or-
Oh. I think she wants to go home after the meeting.
Yeah,
What was that?
Come in and see if you're in
Why
business
don't you
hours.
contact me tomorrow or something, come back and
I
see,
have like an hour drive.
it's gonna snow, so we wanna get
Yeah.
home.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, no, not schedule it for now. I mean, would you, when would work for you, I should say?
No, just call me tomorrow. Oh, well, unless if it's a big snowstorm, call me Friday.
Okay, just call you Brad. All right, sure.
Call me Friday.
You get all your ducks in a row and you come in, it's a lot quicker.
Do you have any
Yeah,
other
we'll
questions?
get it out fast
Uh,
enough, it's after.
this time, I think that's everything I would have.
When are you looking to get this done, started?
Um. Whenever I can get somebody in to pour concrete, I guess, because everybody's pretty far back.
Yeah.
But
It takes about a month to do the site plan review from the time you bring in the full application. Till the time there's a hearing and then a decision, so that's about a month. Then you have to, once you get approved, it's going to be, then you bring your application. Once it's complete, it's. We will turn around time.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's really, it's just as things can be processed. I mean, I would like to do it as quickly as I can, but, however much time it takes, I understand, that's how much time it takes. But yeah, no, besides that, thank you guys very much.
Thanks
your
for
time.
coming in.
Thank you, yeah, nice to meet you.
By the way, it wasn't a gas station there, I believe it was a Texaco, a small one. Texaco.
Mexico.
But Tom Victor had another one down by with Chick out there at Liberty Road. Before that one. The one down below, he had a tank above, pump gas and go over, pump it into the other one above.
Okay.
Do we,
Thank you.
we want to get back to the minutes, you want to put that off till next meeting?
I guess the pictures I want to go over on, I want to put it off, then go over the deal more in depth.
Okay, so,
Yeah, I'm kind of baffled by the emails that did not get to you.
Yeah.
Because they left my computer.
I mean, I know you sent one yesterday when I was there. I didn't get that one.
Oh, just me.
Typically what we used to get was on. We're supposed to have the stuff packets ready by Friday. And then Carol's used to send something out, whoever
Well,
would
they
send
sent-
something out saying, your packets are ready, you can come pick them up.
Yep.
And I didn't get,
Right.
I got nothing.
Okay, so I sent an email, to all of you with the, link to get in the Dropbox. That was on Friday night. And then, then Jim stopped by and said, he couldn't find his, so then I sent it again with a copy of the agenda separately attached.
I got
With the
nothing.
link, so.
I didn't get either email, just so you know, so I mean,
Somebody here get it? Oh,
so there might be
So,
something with your email program that's,
computer. person.
yeah,
Okay,
rabbit goes down the pigeonhole.
that's not,
right.
One question, anybody know what happened to the auction last weekend? Forest Ridge?
yes, I do.
You want to share it? Public
Public
information.
knowledge.
Yeah, the daughter of Rick Elliott sued, David Yeager and maybe other people. And so it was, postponed. It's a new date, March something.
We could see that happening.
But yeah, there's another lawsuit.
Lawsuit, well, I can tell you, I was a little concerned when I looked at the tax map. And got all the lots, remember that piece of paper I gave you? It shows the brook that comes out of the sediment ponds as being part of the auction, and I was concerned, maybe, I said, how do you just
Okay.
have one person on that?
You know,
one
let's,
person on the
you
pond?
know, if we're talking about the pines, the ponds, we shouldn't be talking about that, that's pending.
Oh,
No, it's this. Nuco.
Okay,
This is not, mine, this is.
Okay.
Nuco. So, David Yeager's family trust, had two mortgages, a construction mortgage and an acquisition mortgage. So he's foreclosing on those mortgages, that's what was happening. And that's why the auction, however, when I looked at the properties for Nuco, the common land associated with forest woods is part of what was up for auction. And that made no sense to me whatsoever, because Nuco, that common land should be part of forest woods. It could not be,
Someone else owning it.
they can be separately developed. However, when I looked at the other parts that were Nuco, were the open space that is supporting the 72 units or 12-unit buildings. And there are 3 lots that are supposed to be doing that. There's like 79, which is a big one off to the side. And there's like a weird little bigger one that goes around the outside, and then the other one, kind of goes up. Anyway, there's strips.
Right.
They're like little buffer strips. Those are listed as being owned by Newco. And I think that those things should be associated with the forest gardens. So I do not think that those should be subject to sale. But then when I looked at the subdivision that was approved, it said that that land was, I probably have the wrong phrase, convertible and something or other. Which means that they can change their mind and decide to develop those lots. But they have to find space elsewhere, to set aside. So it's not a permanent set aside, those areas. So,
But before they give them up, they have to be able to tell you what other spaces they may have.
well, I'm just telling you that that was what's up for auction. That's what was subject as collateral for the mortgages.
Well, shouldn't the town send these people letters making sure that they're aware that they need, that their approval was based on having set aside or having set aside so much property, whether it's, if they're gonna sell it, then they need to find some other property. Hey,
Right, however, now it's no longer owned by a developer. It's now owned by different developers. It's now owned by Newco, and some of the land is owned by New Jefferson. Who gets the additional lots? Is it Newco? Or is it New Jefferson, and how many additional lots does each one get?
It's, to me, it's just the same as an easement. If this piece of land is burdened by providing open space to that condo unit. If I buy this piece of land, okay, I should know, but if I don't, when I come in here and say I want to build my house here, that's when you say, well, where is this open space gonna be moved to? And if I can't do it, I can't build on it.
but you can't, but wait a minute, you can't provide, you can't use somebody else's property and say that it's open space when you don't have the ability as an owner to say that it is open space.
There's another.
You have to own that property to be able to say it's open space. When the town approved that whole development, it was approved based on having a certain amount of open space.
Right,
So now that they want to change that by selling it off at auction,
they don't change it.
It's incumbent.
We don't change it. Our rules say this piece of property is encumbered,
right,
okay? By providing open space for this,
so you can't sell it.
Well, you can sell it, but
you
you
can
can't
sell
do
it, but you
anything.
can't, the buyer can't do anything with it unless they provide the alternative open space.
Yeah, but the buy, right,
Subject to
Buy-
I hear you, but
And,
as buyer be aware at
but
that
do
point.
how do we butt into that process and say, oh, don't make sure, I'd be real cautious about what the town puts out for verbiage in something, it's buyer beware. This piece of property, I assume it's on record that this piece of property is part of this condo development and it's the open space.
That's what we would need to make sure.
They're gonna see. They
That's
do
easy
title
to
search.
solve, yeah.
All they're gonna see is that map. It says convertible and whatever the other phrase was. It's like.
That's
there's
why
two
we
words,
had them in addendum divided.
convertible, something.
Okay, is that map? I assume it's a plot plan recorded,
It was.
I think so. I think.
and
they
is the
have
deed
to-
recorded? Gotta be.
Yeah.
That's gotta be recorded.
Okay.
Recorded.
I don't know.
So it's public information that
Such a-
this piece of property is the open space for this condo development. I don't know.
Okay, I completely agree with you, because when they did the original master plan, the master plan said we divide them in sections. But the major master plan has never been changed for the density requirements and common land. The common land has to come somewhere, somebody has to give up on it somewhere. I totally agree with you.
But I guess I just don't, yeah, for me, it's the buyer beware thing that I don't like. Right. That's probably the same in everything in life, but
But let me
it
tell
puts the
you,
town in a precarious place, especially, the reason I looked at it was because the brook coming out of the. The brook is a whole on a separate piece of land. And here sets the sediment pond. So if that sediment pond affects that brook, and those two aren't intertwined. By an ownership, then
Yeah,
one does,
that brook runs way uphill with many other abutters, and it runs way downstream with many
Well,
other abutters.
and that thing, it's all on one piece, they
From,
set that brook
from the top of Coolidge to.
from the top of the
Penny
sediment.
River?
From the top of the sediment pond, from up in there, all the way down through, is on one piece that I saw, now,
You know, it was one time.
I was just concerned that
Still
we
kept under the
That
blanket.
brook runs- Anyway,
have to take a look at it and see. You know,
Still covered under the umbrella association when it came to the plan, that had not changed.
well, I'm just telling you that there were several people.
Sounds
that
like it's
called-
court anyway.
let her finish.
Several people called me about buying, going to the auction and buying.
Well, I mean, I guess it's up to them to do their own due diligence, not up to us to do their homework.
The same lawsuit went through and Saturday went bankrupt back in the nineties, you remember? Same concept went through, they had 5 different lawsuits, 5 different owners of land trying to buy it all. Each one trying to force the other out, but they're still covered under the master association.
Okay,
So,
you
OJ,
guys,
question
hold
for you.
on one second, folks, did you want to say anything? Okay, I just, they were putting your coats on, so I didn't know you were here for a reason. Okay.
Thank you.
Go
All
ahead,
right,
guys.
wait, before we keep going with this, do we want to talk about the planning grant? We postponed that in the agenda. To be honest, Forest Ridge isn't even on our agenda. I don't even know why we're.
No, you just asked me.
Okay.
Okay, put that on another
I'd
agenda.
like to move on to the last agenda item. If that's okay.
That's fine. Don't need to stay here any longer.
What do you mean the,
So we don't need to stay here any longer.
agenda item you referring to?
The
Grant?
planning grant.
You said we're gonna discuss it next meeting.
I thought we were gonna discuss it at the end of this meeting.
So we're gonna,
Come up with
if
questions.
we had any
or-
other questions.
More
Okay.
information.
Does anyone have anything else on the planning grant?
If-
So I think,
If the whole planning, I guess, some of us have different packages. I have nothing. Sometimes that's all in Dropbox and we get access to Dropbox. I don't need to discuss anything.
Like I requested that earlier, if you remember. For the next meeting,
I
everybody can read everything over.
just want to make sure we have something to read.
Yeah, okay, I know you, yeah, I completely understand.
Everything? Thank you.
You got mine.
That was all set with that.
That was just
So,
these two
I
right here.
think I have everything, I have it all clipped together and not highlighted, like,
Oh, you want the highlighted one?
no, I can figure it out.
Oh,
I'm
it's
just saying, I don't know why mine's different.
It's only the heading that's on there.
Yeah.
I get.
So, yeah,
I get things on Dropbox that are mine. that
Yeah, I have that, I have that.
Pictures and things.
So if I can ask a question about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. OJ, the selectmen talked about this at the last selectmen's meeting. What did they say? I thought they said that at this time they weren't gonna pursue this. Is that wrong? Karina talked about this and said that,
That we were gonna see with the planning board. Yeah,
that was that,
I believe that's, we wanted to see if the planning board wanted to pursue the community engagement process and revise the grant application to ask for that instead of the ordinance review.
I mean, I was just, town meeting is in less than 2 weeks, perhaps someone ought to just kind of feel out the audience of town meeting.
that would be the selectmen who would bring that up, see if they,
Yeah.
I think it should be the planning board that brings it up.
that's true, because it's planning
It's a
board.
planning board issue.
Okay.
I mean, I'm gonna be up there enough. They're gonna be sick of me by the time that we get to this.
No.
All right.
Some
Susan,
people
any
sick of me
public
before the meeting
participation?
starts.
Okay,
All right,
so I have, when I'm reading the definition. And so you have a duplex as being one building with 2 units.
mhm.
So then if you have 2 cabins on a lot, it's not allowed. Basically, you have to use the 15,000, but then. So it seems to suggest if you have 3 cabins on a lot, year-round residences, that's okay. So I'm just wondering why that's the case. It seems to be a little convoluted.
But not two?
Right, it says 3 or more. Or combine 3 or more structures or, this must have been written,
I think the intent was that how the ownership was gonna be divided, split off.
Don't forget the
Oh,
auxiliary, what do you call
yeah,
it?
well, 3 units makes it multi-housing,
right,
so.
but that's a type of a structure.
Right,
So to make it a multifamily, it has to be 3 units connected. If it's just 1 unit, it's a single family.
well, it
What
does.
page are you on?
I'm on page
Page
18 and 19.
19, multi-family.
So you have number 28, deal with multifamily. Says 3 or more, and then a duplex is 2-family residential detached dwelling unit designed for occupancy by two families living independently of each other in individual dwelling units, each with a separate entrance.
The entrance, I think, is what. If I remember right. Which one was that, Jim? The entrance.
It's on page 18. Number 14 is duplex defined, and then on page 19. Don't run off with that, I'm gonna try and put it together. Number 20 is a multifamily dwelling.
It's with the screw, I guess.
Yes. I'm like an old man, I got one,
Well, it can't be a duplex because it's a duplex is a 2-family.
I understand that, but so but what
No,
you're
it's
saying,
number 28 on
if
page
we,
19.
I mean, I just don't think we should start saying. 1, 2, 3 separate units on a lot is a multifamily. I don't think we should do that.
I think basically it on a. No, a single, duplex would be a single family together, as opposed to being a business.
So it's neither one. It's neither one, because this is a structure or a combination of structures. And a combination of structures means you take the structures and put them together, right?
Well, that's what my interpretation of it.
So it's not a structure, or it's not a combination of structures. Other than that, it would say. Is what it would say,
I mean,
a structure or any individual combination of structures. It doesn't say that, it says combination of
I mean,
structures.
I'm thinking they have to be joined together.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. The way this is
It
written,
shouldn't be written that way.
I mean, it's subject to interpretation, but I think we've never interpreted it that way that. 3 structures on a lot is a business use.
What would it,
and it
I
says
mean, if
containing
you've
3 or more.
combined structures together and they're touching.
Then it's a multifamily.
Well,
That's
it's
multifamily.
a structure though.
It's one structure,
It's a structure.
right.
I mean,
But that's what it says. If he wanted to take those 3,
We're not talking about anyone in particular.
if someone wanted to take 3 cabins and put them all together, it would be a multifamily.
Right.
Separately, they're not multifamily.
Yes, they are, because there'd be a combination of structures.
No,
They're all stuck together, they'd be one structure.
Yeah, but we're talking about if
if
they're
they're
separate.
separate, if they're separate, they're not one structure. This is talking about a structure,
Or combination of structures.
right? Well, a combination of structures, so it says a structure. Or a combination of structures, you got 2 then, and that you combine them together.
As
that's a
soon as you
combination.
combine them,
They become one.
they become one structure.
Right.
That's
They
fine, but if
become a
they're not,
multifamily-
if they're not combined, they're 3 separate
Right.
structures.
I agree. You have to combine them to make them a multifamily.
You
Well,
have to have a common wall or some kind of roof connecting them or something.
That's not how I read this definition, so.
Well, I mean, that's, we've never ever interpreted it that way. So why can't I have 2 structures on a lot, 2 separate structures, but I can have 3?
and what prevents you from having,
Well, I mean, if you have 2 separate, it's not a multifamily. And it's not a duplex.
what happens if you have 2 individual structures that have 3 units each in it?
Then
What
you
is
have 2
that?
multifamilies. I mean, now we're really,
That's what I'm saying.
right,
That-
but I mean, but a multifamily is 3 units connected. One structure, whether they've been three structures combined over time. I mean, I'm just thinking if we let that go, that's, I mean, that's up to you guys, but I'm just thinking that's really going down a slippery slope if we stop doing that.
If you do like Houston does, there's no zoning at all in Houston, Texas, entire city. You know, we site plan review and that's it. Serious. Look it up.
Oh, we know that is. Houston is a left-wing city, Joe, we want to live there.
Everybody carries a sign on when they go to work.
Generally, it's the right libertarian side that doesn't want zoning and.
All right, is there anything else? I'm just throwing that out there. There's a couple of things here for the 8th regarding Forest Ridge and ponds. Copy to
Yeah,
put.
I had to have the computer company. Do a forensic search for that, the attachment. So I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but when, you know, David Yeager kept saying that Carol had it. And I thought, and then I went back and looked and I saw there were 2 attachments, and that's the one that came in at 5:13. Like right before our hearing, so it appears that I did not print out both attachments, I only printed out one, and then I couldn't find it because they cut me off after 2 years of emails, you know, and so I had to have assistance. So I did find that, that second attachment. So the 2 attachments are there. And I haven't had a chance to read it, but I wanted you to see it, Forest Ridge.
Those are what's in our package?
It's, yeah,
Okay,
Did you get that?
I did get
Okay.
that, yeah.
That's right in here.
All right. Does anyone have anything else?
But can we, yes, can we straighten out how we get our packets and all that? I know Carol's got some electronic issues to work through, but we've said this before, that if we get it on Friday,
Right, but she mailed it out on Friday.
I'm just saying, we need to get, can we set a standard that we get our packets? We voted on this before, that we get our packets on Friday. But can we also say that, I mean, all we need is a notification that packets are ready, and then it's up to us to come get them and get them ready. And it's the simplest way. Sometimes I don't get those, what do you call, boxes, sometimes I can't get into them. I mean, to me, Carol just sends me an email and says,
Yeah.
your packet's ready and they're ready on Friday, then it's up to me to come get them. If I don't come get them,
Yeah, I mean, you know, the purpose of the drop boxes, so our inboxes don't get filled up, because some of the files are kind of large. That's, but I mean, certainly, we're still gonna have packets.
my file is
Yeah,
gonna get
they're not.
too large, again, give it to me in paper on a Friday
Anyway,
anyway.
I'm not requiring you to use a Dropbox, but that's.
Yeah.
The Dropbox for
I
the
mean, to me,
communities and the members.
that's what I would like to
Right.
see happen. And I know it's, you know,
I just want to make sure that I don't be 100% sure that your packet had that.
Your mother's house been sold, Paul?
Yes, and yes.
huh?
You say your mother's house?
All right, if anyone has anything else, is it, let's say, motion to adjourn.
Can we do that? Can we make sure we do that?
Yes, Carol, can we make every effort to get the packages ready by Friday?
I will try to get them by Friday, but usually all the people who come up to ski on the weekend that's when they call me, that's when they come to visit me, that's when they stop in.
Yeah, I understand that.
Tell them you're,
So I do the best I can.
Yep.
And I try to make sure that the Dropbox, the emails go out by Friday, and I try to get the thing, but
I just don't like telling applicants that I haven't seen the stuff, then we gotta look at it. You know, I mean, it's the whole thing, you know?
What's the adjourn?
Is there a
Motion
second?
to adjourn?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
I oppose it.
I think it's mine on the Dropbox.
I'll leave that, yeah.
But just, it goes and fetches it. The pictures.